There we go. Now that is more like it.
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I am here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a new Netflix release, and it's the new, also not just any Netflix release. It's the new release in this franchise that I've been reviewing for this whole week, and we are now on to the most recent one, and hopefully the last of these reviews. And so it's pretty much a new Netflix Legacy sequel, and it's for a comedy franchise. That is going to be for none other than July 3rd's, few weeks ago's Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, or aka Beverly Hills Cop 4, for short. The fourth entry of the Beverly Hills Cop series. So anyway, what's the plot of this? Well, Detective Alex Foley is back after 30 years, and he's once again up to his usual tricks in Detroit when Billy Rosewood, an LA private detective and longtime friend, contacts him for help. Then Alex Foley's daughter, named Jane Saunders, is also a lawyer involved in a high-profile case and got threatened. So Axel Foley sets off for Los Angeles, reviews many acquaintances, and finds himself in the middle of a sinister conspiracy. Yeah, so how was this made? Well, originally, Beverly Hills Cop 3 was not supposed to be the send-off to the series, because the fourth entry in the Beverly Hills Cop series was initially announced for release in the mid-1990s. Under production of Eddie Murphy's production company, Eddie Murphy Productions, but production fizzled out. Then, around June 2001, it was announced Jason Richmond had been hired to write a treatment for a fourth Beverly Hills Cop film after executives were impressed with his rewrites of Bad Company. Then, that didn't happen though. And it got re-announced again in 2006, and producer Jerry Bruckheimer announced his intention to resurrect the film series, but he eventually gave up his option to produce the film, and he passed the production duties to Lorenzo di Bonaventura. Then, September 2006, a script that was pretty much with 7 earlier drafts got presented to Eddie Murphy, and he was very happy with the outline, and he described the attempt to recapture the feel of the original. And also, one of his motivations, the reason why he wanted to make a 4th film in the first place, was because he hates the third one, like we all do. He did not want to leave his series ending like that. So, but it still did not happen until 13 years later, again. It turned out it was still developmental phase all these years, and then Murphy announced in October 2019 that he would begin filming the movie finally after he filmed that shitty Coming to America sequel. Then in November 2019, Paramount Pictures made us one license deal with Netflix to develop the film. And delays in the filmmaking business happened in 2020 for obvious reasons, and RB and Fallout were originally attached at the time as co-directors, and a new screenwriter was working on a new script, but then RB and Fallout left the film to go focus on Batgirl before that got cancelled, and Mark Moyle would be replacing them. Then Warner Bros. Was announced to have written the script, and then Bill, Tom Gomican, and Kevin Etten were given credit for the screenplay, and Bill received story credits. So, anyway, after all the production hell process was all taken care of, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F would go on to be released onto the streaming service Netflix on July 3rd, 2024. And so far, when it comes to the paid critic reactions, it is so far the first entry since the first film to be given positive reviews from the paid critics. And apparently not too many people got pissed off at the trailers. And all the reactions to the trailers were apparently good. I didn't see any of the trailers, guys, so that's why I'm going to make a trailer reaction video. But as for my reaction to the movie, well, now that I've seen all 3 of the movies, I was finally able to watch this today. Had just finished watching it, actually. And how was it? Well, I can say this. With this thumbs up, like, with these thumbs up, yeah, that thumbs up right there tells you. This movie was actually good. Like, it's crazy how, like, earlier another comedy cop franchise, Bad Boys, last month had a fourth entry and it fucking sucked. Then Beverly Hills Cop came back with a fourth entry and it was actually good. Right there. Pretty ironic. Yeah, pretty ironic how Bad Boys 4 was a shitty movie, Beverly Hills Cop 4 was a good movie. And that's especially surprising for a newer Eddie Murphy film. Like, this was one of his best in ages. Like, for a while, he had been doing shitty comedies like The Adventures of Pluto Nash, Norbit, Imagine That, Coming to America 2. He finally made a good comedy again in, like, forever. The last time this guy made a good comedy film was probably Tower Heist. That was probably the last good comedy he did, and then he disappeared off the radar for a while, and then came back with Coming to America 2, and that sucked hard. Then after that, he revived another older franchise of his with this movie, and this was actually good. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed this movie. Most of the stuff was really good here. There was plenty of laughs. The story, I was engaged with the story. There was not the original movies. Like, this actually felt more of a Beverly Hills Cop film than the entire third one did. And that's crazy. This feels more like Beverly Hills Cop 3 in my eyes. Like, Eddie Murphy did really well returning to his classic role as Axel Foley. Like, it's easy not to worry about third movie seeing him back in action. Like, it's also... You also have Judge Renhold returning, John Astin, Paul Risner, all returning from this one. And you have Bronson Pinchot in a small cameo, search from the first and the third movies. You have Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this movie as Detective Abbott, a new ally of Axel Foley. You have Kevin Bacon as the antagonist. Yeah, ironically, like, Kevin Bacon was the antagonist in Maxine. Kevin Bacon was the antagonist in this movie. This is pretty much the summer where Kevin Bacon is playing villains. Two villains back to back. Ironic. Right there. And also, Kate... Yeah, like, he'd shoot up every scene with his expensive snake-like charm. You have Taylor Page as Axel's daughter, Jane Saunders, who did fine. Some parts I was a little annoyed with her character, but she did fine with her performance. I can say that. I mean, it's not nearly as... I mean, she's not as insufferable as Ray or Rose or Max Mayfield from Stranger Things, or what else can I think of? Or any other Natasha Helena from Indiana Jones 5. Much worse, honestly, way worse female leads. Or Carol Danvers. She was much tolerable than either of those. Way more. Some annoying bits, but much more tolerable than the leads I mentioned. They did a perfect job of this movie. They bring in the humor, the atmosphere, the feeling from the old movies. The manuscript is great, and it's generally funny. Now, like, is it better than the first two movies? When I say stuff like this, no, it's not. Definitely, 1 and 2 are still better. I'd say this is the third best. It does well capturing nostalgia of the franchise without over-relying on nostalgia baiting. Like, if you've seen the first two movies, you definitely would pick up all the visual nods, the dialogue, the plot references. Now, how do we start off the movie? Well, we start off back in Detroit, per usual, like we start off all the films. You meet Axel Foley. He's going through the streets to find delinquents who know and don't respect him. So he goes to a hockey game to meet his partner, Mike Woody, played by Collis Moore. And he pretty much knows a group of thieves are targeting the Detroit Red Wings. And Axel finds the thieves in a locker room. They're trying to make off his stolen loot. He enters and he disarms one thief, and then gets chased to the others. And then, of course, Woody's reluctant, and he ends up in tow with him. Axel then takes a snowplow, chases the thieves through the streets, and causes damage trying to catch the guys. Like, yeah, this right here, guys, is a better opening to a Beverly Hills Cop movie then a botched SWAT raid in Beverly Hills Cop 3. And Axel chases the leader down to alley and plows him to an arrest, and Woody's traumatized from the whole incident. And Axel gets chewed out by his longtime friend named Deputy Chief Sherry Freeman. So Jeffrey informs Axel he's retiring and encourages him to reconnect with his estranged daughter. So he goes back to Beverly Hills and he meets his daughter Jane Saunders, played by Taylor Page, and also visit. Meanwhile, first week before Axel arrives in Beverly Hills, we meet Jane Saunders, who's visiting a client named San Enriquez, played by Damian Diaz, and he's pretty much accused of killing an undercover cop named Lieutenant Copeland. And Enriquez denies being involved with the drug game, even though he was found unconscious next to the dead body of Copeland with a gun in his lap, and claims someone was following him and shot Copeland first. And apparently Enriquez tried to steer to the shooters and lost control, hit a pole before he got knocked out. Right there, from right there, you can kind of tell how the movie's gonna go. And like some other infamous sequels, it uses two cliches that's where this one, the main character now has an adult kid, is estranged from, or awkward romance between two former lovers. One doesn't get much focus as the former. And the important thing, though, was seeing Axel do his usual shtick and getting up to his usual antics. That's the part that was important the most with this movie. In that regard, the film delivers all that parts well in terrific space. There's great comedy, there's great action set pieces, they even mix them together. Axel's finally the great character he was in the first two again. He's smooth talking his way out of anything in hilarious fashion. He's not the humiliating idiot he was in Beverly Hills Cop 3. The film does mix up formula now and then. You have Axel doing his usual stick, that then drops the act because he isn't in the mood. But it actually has a mystery, though. It doesn't reveal the villain right away. And Beverly Hills still looks definitely great in this one. The soundtrack, XLF theme is there. Some little on and off remixes of it. That'll come in a different part, though. This movie came out around the time when a lot of franchises are getting butchered by a certain shitty idea. You have your Force Awakens, you have your Last Jedis, you have your Fall of Shitwalkers, you have your The Predators, you have Alien prequels, you have RoboCop remakes, you have Terminator Dark Fates, you have Indiana Jones Dial of Destinies, or you have Matrix Pissurrections, or what else can I think of? You have a bunch of shitty Tremor sequels. You have your Clerks 3s. And you have your Scream 6s. And you have your Halloween Ends. You have your Exorcist Believers. Or hell, maybe some degree, I'll count, I guess, because King Batman is in this, and as a majority of focus in this, you have your The Flashes. Yeah. But you also have some rare good returns. Sometimes you'll get lucky with Blade Runner 2049s, or Dark Crystal Age of Resistances, or Saw X's, or Top Gun Mavericks. Yeah, Top Gun Mavericks. Right. Right there. And also you can add, or Bad Boys for Life. Bad Boys for Life, yes. Bad Boys Ride or Die, heck no. And then you can add this to the list. Or Jackass Forevers, even. Jackass Forevers. You can add this to the list of the good legacy sequels that don't fuck over franchises. This was not only a breath of fresh air, it's display how you definitely can make good legacy sequels today. You don't have to cater to a certain narrative that's just going to kill a solid franchise. You don't have to rely on a bunch of nostalgia baiting just to remind people of the other films. They're here to throw it in their face or to kill off a character and give them such shitty send-offs. It's somewhat similar to the also 30 years late sequel that turned out to be surprisingly great, Top Gun Maverick, and both films were produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. You pretty much start off showing our lead character at the top of his game still. Age hardly slows him down at all. You see Axel fully attending this ice hockey game with his younger white cop that idolizes him, where the latter tries to avoid saying anything that could be racist. And Axel chooses to string this underling, and then admit he's just playing for laughs. And reveal Axel's only at this event to catch a group of criminals that are operating the locker rooms. And it goes through this fast-paced action chase sequence with a snowplower that results in great deals of damage once again. A comedic banter along the way. Like, yeah, this is how you open up a Beverly Hills Cop movie right here. This is actually funny. And the opening does this good job establishing that Axel was able to remain so relevant for a long time. And the classic unorthodox approach, tracking the situation, that's still serving well even to this day. Especially with still some usual setbacks. And at first ever character that encompasses the full extent of Eddie Murphy's talents, like, you have Axel Foley, the lead of this franchise. Ever since this guy made his debut in 1984, Axel Foley was often known for being one of the most memorable comedy characters of 1980 cinema, and definitely one of Eddie Murphy's well-known roles. He has street smart attitude, catchy background, and easily the viewer can be charmed by Axel's presence whenever he's on screen, especially with the performance Eddie Murphy gives him. And after 30 years of attempts at a franchise revival, the franchise just kind of disappeared, and we were left off with a shitty third film about him going to a dollar store theme park for a send-off. But now, we finally have a fourth entry, or what we can call a proper Beverly Hills Cop 3, and more of a Beverly Hills Cop film than 3 was, because of fucking John Landis. Or this time, he's actually back in Beverly Hills this time, investigating an actual case. And it's a return to, it's definitely like first time Eddie Murphy has made an actually funny movie in like fucking ages. Right here. And definitely the best installment of this series since Beverly Hills Cop 2. We pretty much meet more of Jane, and she requests to present evidence that Copeland may have been involved with criminals during Enrique's court hearing. Then she gets caught in the parking garage by masked criminals and demand that Jane drop the Enrique's case. And they hook the front of her car to a truck and they push over the ledge, and Jane is left hanging and terrified. Then she's recovered. Jane gets met by Billy Rosewood, back in the role from Judge Renhold, back in this series, and he's now a private investigator after leaving the force. The third one, like, they just kicked him out. They made him, it looked like he retired. But he's not retired, guys. So he's now back here. He's now a private investigator. So it's nice to see him back. And he urges Jane to drop the case for her safety. So Billy calls Axel and lets him know his daughter needs his help, whether she wants his help or not. So then, after Billy hangs up, he's seen in this Impala trying to stake out a drop. The criminals catch him and apprehend him. Then Axel makes his return to Beverly Hills after he stops hearing from Billy. So he goes to Billy's apartment. He finds 3 goons snooping around the place. Like, you see a Rambo knife. Like, they've seen a Rambo knife in the background. You see a Rambo First Blood Part 2 poster. During the whole apartment scene. And then Axel tries to pretend he's been sent by their boss. They find a picture of him and Billy, and Alex offs to use a fire extinguisher to spray the goons and make us escape. He then swipes this meter maze vehicle. He gets chased through Rodeo Drive. Axel evades the crooks and ends up crashing the vehicle and then gets arrested. Getting arrested is not something new for Axel in these movies. It really is not, although he doesn't get arrested as much in this one as the third one, so that's nice to hear right there. So he's at the station, and he meets Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, that's Detective Bobby Abbott, and he's trying to get in touch with Jane, though. But Jane keeps hanging up on him till he says, like, the matter concerns Billy, so she begrudgingly bails him out of jail, and Alex finds out through this awkward interaction that Jane and Bobby used to apparently days, and Axel's then bought in to meet with his longtime friend Chief John Tiger, played by, once again, back in the role from John Ashton, and introduces him to a new character named Captain K. Grant, who's played by Kevin Bacon, or Kevin Bacon's villain character. This pro-teacher Taggart, and Axel expresses suspicious about Grant to Jane, and he thinks he's wearing clothing that's expensive for someone in his position. So, yeah, pretty much the supporting cast, both old and new, they contemplate the film nicely here as well. Like, Axel's daughter Jane, like, Taylor Page does fine for what she's given with Eddie Murphy. Like, it's not trying to upstage him. Yeah, she's a little bitchy at times, but not to the point where she's trying to upstage him. It's not like, I'm better than this, I'm better than you. No, let me do this. No, it's not like that. Yeah, like, I was annoyed with her at first, but she was just kind of the typical My Father Dark character, not like the one that's No, not like Helena or Zen, where they're just trying to overshadow the proper lead characters and treat them like garbage in their franchises. And Jane does grow to appreciate him as this important asset to her investigation. And you can tell that while Jane still resents her father because of some of his questionable decisions, there's a part of her that wants to forgive him and invite him back into her life. More like this is like hell. I wish they did that with the daughter in the whale. I wish they could have did that. Maybe that would have made me like the daughter in the whale a little more. I don't know why they could have did that. They could have did what they did here with that character. I don't know why. And not made her such a psychopath. But yeah, like there's also like moments here where you can tell she's definitely Axel Foley's daughter because she's got a determined attitude that has obvious character, and it's one of her most obvious character traits. And I did like the addition of Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this movie. Like, him and Kevin Bacon's combined presence in the film is very terrific to the story. Like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character Bobby is intended to represent modern-day cops that are pretty much more lax in their investigation strategies. And, like, where Axel's more raw, unbased approach that he still had since movie 1, watching Bobby learn from Axel through the story pretty much leads to humorous and interesting character dynamics that help bring the gap between the policing of the past and present. And then, of course, Kevin Bacon in this movie really looked like he was enjoying himself in the antagonistic role of Captain Grant. Like, Captain Grant was definitely a nice throwback to the corrupt officers and classic cop thrillers, and he uses the connection to the criminal underworld to try and skin some of that side for himself. Yeah, Foley's original LA pals, Rosewood and Taggart, they do look a bit tired, but like they're used very wisely. Like, they're still useful to the story here. It's nice to see them again, especially nice to see Rosewood again after he was kicked out of the third one for no reason. It's nice to see him back. And it's definitely great to see the resurrection of Bronson Pinchot and the affected search. And it's great. Like, and it's also nice that none of the characters are de-aged with such shitty CGI like they did with Harrison Ford, or like they AI'd Christopher Reeve or Nick Cage in The Flash. Right there, like, no, this movie just plays up their disrepitude like there. And like Axel F does have nostalgia, guys. It doesn't over rely on it like a bunch of nostalgia sequels today. And then Jane pretty much tells Axel that Billy was at the impound lot because Copeland's car was there. So Axel and Jane go to investigate on their way. Axel explains his disappearance from Jane's life because of the urge of her mother because Axel is targeted by a ruthless gang. Then the two talk their way into the lot to find Copeland's car. And Axel pretty much discovers this hidden surveillance camera with a missing SD card. And the two figure that's probably footage of Copeland's murder on there. And that's what Billy was pretty much after. Then on their way out, Axel sees they're being followed and removes a tracker from Jane's car. So Axel and Jane go to a social club. They trick their way inside so they can go talk to Grant and his goons. And then it's maintained that Copeland was not dirty and ignored methods of goons to get to the SD card and wants to exonerate Copeland. So then they leave. And Axel and Jane gets into another argument regarding the relationship. Then Axel goes to stay in an expensive hotel right here. It's a nice little throwback to the first movie. Like, I'm just tired. You got any more rooms available? Well, yes, we do. One of the prettiest rooms. I'll take that one. Over $935, sir. Ah, do I love Beverly Hills right there. Yeah, like, pretty much pretty ironic. Like, this was kind of a scene in the first film where Axel went to check in his room, and his room was going to be a suite, but they were going to charge him the hotel price of $235, and now they're just raising it to $940 during the way. This is the good kind of nostalgia right there. So the next day, Axel goes to Jane's job, even though like she told him to leave and go back to Detroit, and it made her think he was leaving. But also an address Billy had. That Grant and his goons are then later attending the location. Axel offers continuous assistance and protection of Jane. Then on the streets, the two then get ambushed by cartel gunmen. Bobby arrives on the scene though and helps kill them since he has put himself on the case. And then they return to the station. And Axel questions Tiger's potential involvement in criminal activity. They've learned regarding Grant and his guys, though, Tiger then gets mad and offended by this and defends both himself and Grant, and he orders Axel to go back to Detroit and suspends Bobby. Then Bobby decides to go solve the case himself without any cops and to aid Axel. So Axel and Bobby work together. They join Jane and her firm to dig deeper, and they find Billy's address that was written down was for a house that Grant and his guys go to launder with cartels. And so they need a plan to get inside. So Alex recruits another old friend of his named Serge, played by Bronson Pinchot. He brings the three to his neighborhood mansion as it is hosting an open house. And Jay and Bobby are talking to the estate agent Ashley, who's played by Nathan Pedrad. And Axel tries speaking to the other house. He uncovers them more evidence against Grant, and the goons are notified of Axel's presence, and they replay it to Grant. And they promise this deal with Axel personally. There, and when I first saw this bit, originally, before I found out that the chick at this place was the landlord trying to sell it, I thought this was her house. When you get to her house, some kids are precious. Not all of them. Mine's a loser. He's only 4. And, honestly, just wow. Wow, you call your 4-year-old kid a loser? Just wow. But right there, it was also somewhat of a funny moment there, because this friend of Axel's is a pretty funny character, even though it gets, one scene. The action sequences are awesome here. They're just as good as the action in the first 2 movies. Right there. And also, the callbacks, the Easter eggs, and the nods, they're actually natural. They're not forced. One part of the film that solidifies its place in pop culture is the music, the soundtrack and the score. There's familiar needle drops in the first 2 installments that get ushered by a score. That is the work of Harold Faltermeyer's Axel F theme, or Here We Go, or Lil Nas X's Here We Go. It ties the film together. And then, of course, Axel and Jane then have another argument. Then Axel splits off with Bobby to talk to Enriquez's uncle, Chalio, played by Luis Guzman. And they go to his club and they sit with him after offering to get his nephew out of jail. So Chalino tells him too that Grant protects the cartels, and Copeland got murdered for trying to go clean. And he lets him know that there's a shipment at the port coming in that night. So they walk out, and Grant and his men arrest Axel and Bobby, and they're framed for drug possession. And then after the interrogation though fails, Axel uncuffs himself and tricks Grant to letting him get away. So pretty much opening the air vent, making it look like he crawled out. And then Axel removes a chair and knocks him out. It's you've seen too many movies. And then he walks out of the office. So he gets Bobby out and they go to the roof. And Axel tries to get him to fly the helicopter because he heard earlier Bobby was a pilot. And then when they land right in front of Billy, land right in front of John Tiger. It's Axel, you stole the helicopter, because he found out Bobby actually never flew because of a bad experience that got him in trouble. And Axel now has to let it fly. And then they land right in front of John Tiger and questions that they stole the helicopter. And Axel points to Billy to get himself out of trouble. Yeah, then Grant and his goons give chase. Bobby flies a helicopter too low across streets. Right there. And then that's where he got the station part with the helicopter. But Grant catches up to them, shoots a helicopter rotor, and they crash land at a golf course. And you see a cameo of Christopher McDonald playing a golfer. Literally playing a golfer that witnesses it. Right there. So yeah, it was very hilarious to see Christopher McDonald playing a golfer again after Happy Gilmore, where he played Shooter McGavin. So in a way, I guess you could say this is retired Shooter McGavin. After he lost the tournament to Happy, after he never won the gold jacket, and then got beat up by Gilmore's ex-boss for trying to steal it, I guess you could say that's what became a Shooter McGavin, now just retired and playing golf for free. And banned from all PGA tours. Right there. I'm now witnessing a helicopter crash, so they steal his golf cart, and they go back out. And then Tiger gets in touch with Jane after witnessing Grant shooting Axel and Bobby. And he realizes that there's corruption in his department. Then Axel and Bobby go to the port where they find Billy is being kept captive. Then Billy sees them, he distracts his captors so Axel and Bobby could come in and knock them out. So they steal a truck, and then Billy tells them the SD cards and a knife in his apartment. And then Axel tries to call Jane, but Grant answers, and it turns out Jane's been kidnapped. And he lets Axel know that he's kidnapped Jane and wants the SD card to be bought to a specific location. And Axel contacts Jeffrey, who tracks Jane's phone to the mansion. And then Axel tries to get the attention of other cops' attention. And then it leads to a chase where the cops then crash to each other right there. Right there, so they can summon some more backup to join them. Like, now when it comes to plot of the movie, some people would probably moan and complain about no plot here, or no majorly great plot, but Beverly Hills Cop's not a series about plot or script. Like, it's about fully taking out bad guys, being reckless at times, often getting into trouble with other police departments, and annoying the Beverly Hills Police Department with his antics. Like, there's no like depth of action scenes in the film. Like, the action scenes in the film are imaginative. Some do kind of lack direction performance at times. Might not make them nearly as effective, but there's some scenes that are very exciting, and some scenes that are not that effective. The action scenes, like, some action scenes could have used a bit more effort, but most of the time, the action sequences were actually still really enjoyable here. And the villains, yeah, anyone would definitely enjoy, who's seen the first two would definitely enjoy the villains in this, because, yeah, these guys are actually bad villains. And you know they're going to be busted by Alex, but before that happens, like, the viewer would be laughing so hard, though, because of the nonstop action, the side gigs, the property destruction that happens, because it's Beverly Hills Cop, that involves a lot of property destruction, and the dialogue of this character only Eddie Murphy could get away with adding to this character. But here, yeah, it has everything you want in a Beverly Hills Cop movie right here. Right there, like, Axel Foley, still up to his usual antics, while still trying to bust some bad guys in Beverly Hills. That's what you want. That's exactly a Beverly Hills Cop movie right here. And now we get to our finale, and this is a finale of a film in this series. Like, this here is more of a Beverly Hills Cop finale as well. Unlike that loser shootout one in the theme park where he kept hiding behind a bench and whipped out a bunch of stereos because he thought they were guns or something like that. And apparently, and a bunch of security guards with such shitty aim with their weapons. It's not that. No. Definitely not that. What you actually get here feels like a finale you find in the first two movies. Here, because right here, so once like they pretty much get the backup by crashing into cop cars, Axel then drives the truck into the mansion, and you get a shootout between Grant's goons, Axel, Bobby, and Billy, who then kill most of the gunmen. They make their way to the room where Jane is being kept, and Axel bursts in, and Grant nearly shoots Jane, and Axel takes the bullet to the chest to defend Jane. Like, Grant's about to shoot her, and he immediately runs in slow motion, and he allows himself to be shot instead. Before Grant's about to finish them off, like, Bobby ends up first with a bullet to the head, and Jane then rushes to her father's side, and then Billy Target reunited while Axel's taken to the hospital, so... Now, this part did have me a little bit worried. As soon as Axel got shot, I was like, oh, don't kill him off, please don't kill him off. Because I'm tired of that bullshit. Like, I'm tired of characters I like being killed off. It's so annoying now. It was fine for stuff like Logan. Like, it was fine back then. Now it's just getting really insufferable. I feel like ever since Logan came out and got praise, every franchise has been wanting to kill off all their characters since 2017. Like, fucking stop with that stupid bullshit. It did not work for Dante. It did not work for Barbosa. It did not work for Luke Deverell. It did not work for Thomas Whitmore. It did not work for Burt Gumbel. It certainly does not work for Ellen Ripley or Captain Kirk. It did not work for Keaton Batman at all. So, why do franchises need to keep doing this? But, however, thankfully that does not happen. Right there. Because we get another scene where, yeah, it turns out Axel actually did survive the being shot. So I'm glad they did not kill him off, because I probably would have been very mad if they did that. And my score probably would have went down aggressively. Maybe not to like bad score, but probably to a more weaker score if that did happen. For that one bit right there. So then, Jane goes to visit Axel, but Axel did not like the food he was being served in the hospital. He thought he was grossed out by it, so he snuck out to a diner. So he snuck out to a diner because he wanted better food there. So Jane then finds him there and tells Axel the SD card was bought in. And all charges against Enriquez were dropped, so The two then reconcile, and Axel decides he's going to stay in Beverly Hills for real this time, because he's pretty much now retired from the Detroit police force, so he doesn't really have much of it. And plus, he wants to be more with his daughter more now. He's just reconciled with her, so there's not really any reason for him to go back to Detroit at this rate. And the movie's still not over. We get one more scene where you see Billy and Tiger doing a stakeout. And Axel's sitting in the back seat right there, and he surprises them. It's like, want to go get a steak or food or something? Like, no, like, and then like they just fall. They immediately fall for Axel's like pressure, and so it's like, all right, we're not getting younger, and so they like, yeah, so they pretty much drive off to go eat dinner with them, like, and you have the Axel F theme playing in the background again, and that's where our movie ends, right there. So yeah, that's the end of Beverly Hills Cop XLF. That's definitely a good way to end a surprisingly good legacy sequel, and I think this could be added now to the rare good legacy sequels list. Right there, Beverly Hills Cop XLF is everything Beverly Hills Cop 3 should have been, what we should have got in that third movie, right here, and definitely redeemed the franchise, and honestly, now, here's the thing, this was a good movie, but do I want a Beverly Hills Cop 5? No. Here's the short answer for that. The short answer is no. I don't want another Bad Boys Ride or Die. I don't want to see him going back to being humiliated again, or probably acting as much of an idiot as Martin Lawrence and Ride or Die did. Or probably like doing over-the-top Looney Tunes back-in-action video game bullshit with crocodiles. I don't want to see that bullshit happening again. We already had a humiliating sequel in Beverly Hills Cop 3. I don't want that happening again. Right? We just got this franchise back to its good roots. Let's not fuck it up again. Let's not have a Bad Boys Ride or Die here. Let's not have The Predator. Let's not have an Alien 3. Let's not have another Clerks 3 here. Right? So let's not have a Beverly Hills Cop 5. Just because I like this movie, I don't want a Beverly Hills Cop 5. Hell, the same can be applied to the announcement of Shrek 5 earlier last week. Yeah, I know they announced Shrek 5, guys. I posted that in the community section post. And that's the thing. Just because I surprisingly liked The Last Wish, and guys, keep in mind when I saw the trailers for The Last Wish, I thought I would not like it. I thought it was going to suck. Because it looked bad with the trailers. The trailers were awful. And I was going to go watch it for people's benefits. And I just ended up being surprised by it. I just came out surprised. DreamWorks got lucky that one time. But they clearly says, hey, that means people want a Shrek 5. I'm one of the few who does not. Okay? I'm one of the few who does not want a Shrek 5. I don't care if people get mad at me for saying that. I don't want a Shrek 5. Alright? And like, I never wanted a Shrek 5 to begin with. Because Shrek Forever After, the proper Shrek the Third, already ended it on a great note. And what the hell are they going to do next? What, would it be Shrek just Shrek Forever After again? Where Shrek just becomes miserable with his happy life again, and then he gets sent to an alternate timeline all over again? Or this time, or just make Shrek and Donkey divorced losers, and their kids have to be the lead characters. There. Or just have a donkey dragon baby of donkeys, or one of the kids, or have Shrek's daughter be our new leads. Make it that. Just make it the first one. Just make them the leads this time. And you're all like, but Cameron Diaz is back. What else has Cameron Diaz done? After Shrek Forever After, she had shit films like The Green Hornet. She had shit like Sex Tape. She did the shitty Annie remake. She did The Other Woman, which sucked ass. She did like, what else did she... Fuck, man, I forgot. Oh, she had Bad Teacher, and that also sucked. She had Night and Day. She had Night and Day, but like, this is the stuff that she did after Night and Day. Mike Myers had like Shrek 2, like after Shrek 1, Mike Myers had the shitty Cat in the Hat movie that almost killed his career. Then it got saved by Shrek 2. But then he did Shrek the Third. That did not get good reviews. And that got erased from existence. We had the better Shrek 3 called Shrek Forever After. But before Shrek Forever After, he did The Love Guru. And that was fucking awful. And that killed his live action career. Yeah, he's like come back with minor roles like a Glorious Bastard. He came back with minor roles like Bohemian Rhapsody, but even I think that movie sucks. Like, and honestly, like, they're only back, these three are only coming back for Shrek 5 because they have, like, because Mike and Cameron have nothing else in their careers that's going to make them any money except for this franchise. But with this movie, though, like, Eddie Murphy may have a chance of a comeback now after this movie, but keep in mind, guys, like, even Eddie Murphy wasn't so lucky either, because he had shit like Norbit, he had shit like Pluto Nash, he had shit like Imagine That. And Tower Heist, like, the only great exception he had after that was Tower Heist, and then he just went off the radar, and came back with Coming to America 2. And that sequel sucked. So, yeah, like, and honestly, like, Beverly Hills Cop XLF is good, but keep in mind, this was released to Netflix and not to theaters. Right here, so, for theater-wise, Shrek's pretty much the only Eddie box office-wise thing he has. And they're also making a Donkey spin-off. I don't know why, because Donkey does not work as a lead character at all. I don't think so. I'm sorry, guys, I don't. When you make films about Puss in Boots, I can see that happening, because Puss is not just a comic relief and has more of a story you can give him a film or series for. Donkey's a comic relief. Donkey's a different story. What would the Donkey spinoff be about? Him just talking and annoying everybody? Like, that's already in the first two movies. We don't need a whole hour-long movie about that. But yeah, I'm going off topic here. Let's get back to the review, because it's already 40 minutes long. Did Beverly Hills Cop XLF have problems now that I think about it? Well, yeah, like, now Taylor Page is fine for what she's given, but sometimes she gets really annoying because she does constantly whine towards Axel, and it's kind of a good chunk of their scenes together. I understand where she's coming from here a little more than some characters like her, but she does have some redeemable moments in the ending, and she's not an asshole per se, but she can be kind of a little irritating at times. The music, like, I hate to say this, guys, but the XLF theme in this I thought was awful. The music I thought was awful in this, and some bits it just took away from the experience. Right here. Yeah, I didn't really like the music. I just wasn't too big of a fan of Axel's daughter. Those are my bad qualities. That's why I like 1 and 2, still like 1 and 2 better. But I say this is the third best. Regardless of the bad qualities, though, this is one of my favorite movies of the year. And guess what? Now after this movie, we can finally now erase the shite called Beverly Hills Cop 3 from existence, because now we have this movie. Right here. Beverly Hills Cop XLF. Call this the true Beverly Hills Cop 3. There you go. So in the end, I would totally recommend watching Beverly Hills Cop XLF on your Netflix, because this is definitely how you revive a comedy franchise. This is also how you do a legacy sequel, and it's also a good watch for those who finally want to see Eddie Murphy do a good comedy film in, like, forever. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of Beverly Hills Cop XLF, and if you're wondering how I'm going to rate Beverly Hills Cop XLF, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you were a fan of the first two and hated the third entry, and wish for a better follow-up to these two films, then I would totally watch Beverly Hills Cop XLF, because it is totally a worthy franchise redeemer. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rate Beverly Hills Cop XLF, I'm going to give Beverly Hills Cop XLF an 8 out of 10. There we go, guys. That wraps up the review for Beverly Hills Cop XLF. Now I want to know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of this movie? Whether you like this movie, or whether you also thought it was another bad legacy sequel, whether you did not like this movie. Tell me down in the comments down below. And until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. And if you like this, want to see more, then don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.